send it out to the interwebs one more time here from Playa del Carmen, broadcasting live with some of the Finsweet team. As usual, we've got Joe Krug here today, who's going to help guide and narrate the build. Harshit is going to be building some fun stuff for you today that we'll go over here in just a second. A fun little news website. And, you know, I'll just be over here kind of talking shit and, you know, poking fun and, you know, keeping things moving a little bit. So, Harshit, talk to me a little bit. What are we building today? What are you looking to show the folks today? What are we going to go through? Harshit, I don't have your audio.
Oh, can you hear me now? Okay,
there we go.
Nice. Hello, everyone. I hope you all are doing well. So today we are going to make theoutline.com. It's a website that is having a lot of news, and it's a really nice use of CMS. The day before, Remar actually shared the sections, and now we will focus on like a smaller part of the component. I would say maybe we can make it responsive, at least the hero section. We will try. We are going to experiment it in a different way right now.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess that's probably something good to clarify too. We talked about this last time a little bit, that we're not trying to do the whole site with this one, right? Last time we took a little bit of liberties with some of the Google design just to show you. The goal here is to show you how to build efficiently with the client first setup. So on this one, we're not going to go through the whole website, so that maybe we can spend a little bit more time looking at some design refinements, the responsiveness of the site, etc., and show how you do those things as well with client first. The first two builds, we've kind of just built like full sites, top to bottom, hero section. And one, it takes a long time. And two, we can't really get into the weeds a little bit about some of the nuances of what we're trying to build. And so hopefully with this build, we'll be getting into just a little bit more of that. And we'll be taking a little bit of time to like just build more specific components rather than the whole site. Just to show how some of that works. So Joe, any thoughts?
I'm excited for something a little different. This is a different type of site, news site. So yeah, the change of pace here I think is going to be interesting. And I'm excited to see how we do mobile. Our first live build further in the responsive levels. So let's get into this one.
Great. Okay. Nice. Harshit, whenever you would like to share your screen, we'll switch to that shot. And yeah, we'll go from there.
Nice. Remar, I have shared a new link with you for the read-only link of project. Let me send you the new link actually. Here we go. I shared it in the Slack.
Okay. And so let's do this. We're going to copy this preview link, and we're going to share this and pin this in the chat. This way, you all can kind of follow along as we go. So every time we publish something new, you can just go into this preview site and you can see and build in real time. You can see the structure. I know some folks had said like, it's a little hard to keep up. Maybe you can't see exactly what's going on. Boom, open the site on your end and you can dissect literally in real time as we go. So Harshit will publish every once in a while, and every one of those publishes will give us a new look for you all to jump in to that preview. So if I jump in right now, you'll see it's just a blank page inside of Webflow here. And so, yeah, Harshit, whenever you're ready, go ahead and share your screen and we'll get to it.
Okay.
So here. All right.
Okay. Is this visible?
Yep.
There we go.
And then Joe and I will stay hanging out here at the bottom. Let's say what's up real quick to the folks in the audience. We've got Christopher Coleman. What's up? Jeremy, LaRue, Gabe, Joe obviously is in the house. Arianto, Wallison, WKD, Stephen Hilario, Musical Boy, Penny. What's up? Penny, Mariella. Hey, Mariella. John Philippe. Colleen is in the house. Hi, Colleen. Pablo Cortez. What's up? And Christopher Loggins. Yeah, so say hi in the chat and we'll get to Yeah, hard shit. We probably need you to come back to your actual screen. You can't have the video screen on
Okay.
yeah, you
Okay,
need
there
to
we go.
stay there or put that other screen on a different monitor. There we go.
Okay.
Colleen's saying she's getting a 404 on the preview link. Did I send
Let
the
me share it
wrong one?
again.
I think I sent it. Here, let me paste this one more time here.
Oh,
And
Ramar,
Harshit, have you published it?
a word change. Can you please share the new link? I've shared it in the Slack.
I've just
There is a
I've
there is a
just
typo
changed
in
it.
the previous link.
Yeah, I just changed it.
Okay.
Okay, perfect. So there you go.
Oh, shit.
Omar, what's up? Arturo, hello, hello. Blue Ocean, what's up, everybody? And more people start trickling in. So if you'd like to say hi, leave it in the comments. Otherwise, harsh shit, jump right to it.
Nice. So let's start this thing. I really like the use of page padding here. So I can assume that you can all see a space right here on all directions. So I'm going to apply this as a padding on our page wrapper. That's a nice use of page wrapper, I believe. And we have these outlines, so it's looking nice. We don't have the exact font, so I think we are going to use something similar. Maybe Meriwether will work here. So let's start the build, and I will keep this in my different screen. Here we go. Okay, I will start from the hero section, and maybe I can also have a nav bar, but let's start from here. We have our page wrapper, and I'm going to apply a padding like this to all the directions. And again, this is a very nice trick when you are having page padding. When you're applying a spacing, you can just make a correct mouse movement here. So you can apply it really fast, something like this. So if I apply here 4 ramps, I can apply it on all of the directions. Shit, it messed up live. There we go.
Okay.
So I'm just going to prepare a structure, home header component. Again, starting with this. Let's give our page padding a background.
So, Rymar, we have another report of the 404, and I think that that's because the read-only links are being converted in YouTube for too many characters. Something like
They're
that.
being narrowed down again.
The
That's
link
right.
is not lighting up correctly. It's not.
That's
So
right.
maybe we
It
do
does
that link
little
shortener.
short thing. We did that link shortening thing last time. Okay, let me do that.
Yeah.
You're right.
And Harshit, can you please give a zoom, maybe 1 or 2 zooms in, so it's a little bit more visible in here?
Yeah, here we go. Is that good?
Yeah, if you could do one more, that would be great. If not, then that's okay.
Okay.
Okay,
There we go.
let's see. Yeah,
This
it's
link
fine.
should
It's
work
fine.
now. Let's pin that one up to the top. That should get you to the preview links. Sorry about that, folks. And for those of you who are wondering, I'm over here frantically trying to send an email to remind our email list that we're live right now because it didn't get done. So many, like, there's so many balls in the air right now because all the people are traveling and people are moving and like things are happening. And so like just, you know, we promise we know what we're doing most of the time, but every once in a while we make little mistakes, but we're pretty honest about that too.
Nice. So I just created a swatch for my color that I'm going to use as a background color for rest of my website. And yeah, this is a reusable color. And I can create the swatch and I can always switch the position using our extension. So that's always a plus point for me. So I am free to create a swatch now.
And what do you mean by create a swatch?
A color swatch. So I just saved my color here and I named it as background blue. So it's always nice kind of to have a naming convention for swatches as well. So whenever it's a background color, I generally go with blue background or background blue. If it's a text color, then it's good for us to name them as text green, text blue, something like that. So you can have your own naming convention, but it really helps.
Nice. Yeah, I just wanted to clarify in case maybe somebody's watching that doesn't know what a color swatch is, you know, and in Webflow you can save and style swatches. Then with the Finsweet extension, you can reorder those. And so that's a big plus.
Yeah.
So let's see, review and send. Who should we
Let's
send this
create
to?
CMS. Okay.
Let's send it to the Finstant notifications. Bam. Okay. Let's see if that let's see if that works. We've got how many people hanging with us right now? Let's take a look at the stats. There's 25 people hanging out. We just sent a blast to the list. Let's see if we get any uptick in traffic there. Let's see if the email marketing actually works or if y'all are just showing up because we're on YouTube. All right, so not Rohan, Harshit, what are we doing here? What are you working on?
So I'm actually creating a CMS. I'm going to use the default Webflow blog post for now, and I'm going to add a few more fields to it. And yeah, this is the plan. And I'm creating the Webflow default so that it can fill up with I can fill it up with the demo data, the test data. So here I created the collection. I'm just checking. We have the name, we have the port summary. That's great. And yeah, it's looking good to me. Let's create the collection and add maybe 5 items. Yeah, let's go for 10 items.
Yeah.
Nice.
And here's a good question from Laxi Forka. I don't know if that's the right way you say that, but hey, what's the difference between placing an image element and applying a background image to the div block? And when should you use what? Joe, do you want to take this?
There are a few reasons why you might choose one or the other. When you use the image, you get that really nice alt text ready to be entered. You can go apply that alt text, great for screen readers, and that's available to you as an image. Also, images are not tied to class. So if you have a whole bunch of different images, you may want to use the image element because you don't have to apply a class to change that image. Now, background, on the other hand, that is tied to a class. So maybe you have the same type of image across all of your backgrounds. Let's say a background of a section. I would not want to put that as an image because if I change that image, I'd have to manually change it on every section. If it's applied as a background image, it's CSS-based, it's class-based, and I can make that update globally across the build. That is kind of the top way I think about it. Harshit, did I miss anything? Are there any other benefits for one or the other?
Yeah, there are actually different use cases for this. So I can explain some of the use case here. So let's assume we have a home header that is going to be universal and that you are going to, not home header, but section header. So if you have a section header that you are going to use in different pages, okay, you just have that as a maybe global section, I would say. So in that case, it's better to have an image element set as a fixed position in the behind. So I can show you that as well. So let me explain the theory first. So when we have a universal section that we are going to reuse in other pages, it is better to have an image element so that we can easily replace the image. Because if we are going to go with a background image, every time we create a new section, we will have to apply a combo class. Here, background image is something that is connected with the CSS style. You will have to actually create combo classes if you want to replace this image. But when it's an image element, you can replace it by just selecting the element and replacing the image itself. So this is one of the very nice use case. In this use case, why I am using this image as a background, because this is just a single, this is applied to the page wrapper and it is going in all of the pages. That's why I have it as a background here. I don't really need the image element here. Yeah.
Nice.
And if you wanted to update that, you can update it globally. That's the key. Updating it globally is really powerful. Let's say you have 50 pages and they all have this background. You want to make an update to that. One change, it updates everywhere.
Okay, Harshit, real quick, you're moving 1,000,000 miles an hour here. So what did you just do? I saw that all of a sudden we went from one little section with this little border on it to now we've got all these other little sections. So undo all that and let's walk people through. What did you just do? What do you have built already? Harshit, it hurts me that you don't use Command Z, by the way, or Control Z. It hurts me to see you move your mouse up to that undo button every time. Just wanted to say that for everybody watching who's maybe feeling the same little like OCD tendency. Okay, so what's happening here? What do we have built and what's your next step?
Yeah, sure. I was actually showing the use case of this particular image background, so that I was saying that if we have, let's say, a big page, see, my background image is also moving, and at some
What are
point
you
it
doing
may
there
get
though?
restored.
Okay, so you're just adding more sections. You're just pasting more sections in
Yeah.
there?
Yeah,
Okay.
using the shortcut key. So we have this, and I was just trying to create a test environment here. So you can see my page is very big now, and the image is getting restored. So with the image background, we have the option to actually make an array here. So I can make it something like this. Okay, let me check. How do we do that? Oh, here we go. So now it is getting repeated after some time. So this is again a nice power that we have with our background images that we cannot do with image elements. Okay, so this is something that we can also use in terms of
Great.
image, background image. Yeah.
Great. Okay.
So let me just undo everything.
Yeah, Clammy, you tell him. Clammy's over here saying 40 viewers. Let's hit that like button and share some love. Yeah, if you appreciate our videos, if you tune in every once in a while, the like really helps YouTube share the videos, and I think it's like 50 to 60%, depending on the week or the show, of you are not subscribed to our channel. So tisk tisk, go out there and hit that subscribe button. Make sure you turn on those notifications. We're here twice a week. Tuesdays we talk about strategy and business, and Thursdays we are building. Sometimes we'll review sites. So Thursday's a little bit more interactive, and yeah, we'll see how it goes from there. So let's see, can you have the same granular control over an image as a background, or just background images in class? Jeremy, I'm not sure what you're saying, but with the new Webflow object fit or CSS, like the position fit, you can do a lot of the same things you could do with a background image inside of like an image container. And so you can do that. You can do some of the same cover stuff. You can fit. You can kind of like the same things you might do with a background image. Webflow has made those available on the front end so that you can do the same effects with images. So hopefully that explains it. Let's see. Okay. All right, Harshit. So we've got our little background hero section. It looks like you've got a little container in the middle. Do you want to walk through this structure here real quick so people can see the structure that you've built on the left side there?
Yeah, for sure. So as always, we have our main wrapper, and all of our sections will go inside our main wrapper. The very first section that we have here is our section header, and inside that I am going to place my header news component. I was just thinking about the name that I should name it, so I can see that there is a featured news, and then there is a news grid. Okay, so I'm going to divide this into two collection list, and then we are going to apply a filter, that is featured filter, on this. So I was just thinking about the name, and I have this collection list wrapper inside my header news component. So this is, I have it for now, but I think I should rename it to maybe featured news component. That is much better, I think. Yeah, let's go with this one. And there is a nice trick that whenever we are writing the component name, we can copy this thing up to this point, and we can always have that save in our clipboard and use it when naming other things. So let's say I have this collection list wrapper. I will just paste this thing, and I will continue the type. I will just write here collection, something like this. I'm just going to apply names to everything so that it's really clear. List, I will call it list featured news underscore list. I'm going to call my collection item feature news underscore item. I'm just copying and pasting it. It actually decreases the time we are spending here.
Nice.
Now let's connect this to our blog CMS that we have made. So blog post. Okay, you can see we have a ton of components because I think we have 10 test item, but for the featured I only want one. So I'm going to apply, I will go to settings, and I'm going to apply a limit items, show only one, something like this. So it will only show me one item. Here we go. Let's now build the structure. Okay, I can see there is a very nice, interesting outline here that is on our hero section, orange outline. Let's make that live. Let's build that line live. So I think I will place a header wrapper, maybe. Yeah, that is great. Let's go that way.
And
Okay,
for
so
those
what I
who
will
are
do
maybe
here, yep.
watching and don't know, I can't imagine who, but just for anybody who may be watching this in the future, what Harshit did was just create some dummy content in Webflow. When you create a collection, if you don't have your content ready, but you want to start designing right away, you can go into the screen and create a new collection inside of Webflow and then just tell it to create 5, 10, or I think 20 items. I don't know, some I think it's those three thresholds. But that way, let's say you're building something like this and you don't have the content from the client yet, you can at least start designing with some of those parameters. Typically, when I do this, I will go in and I'll change at least the titles, right? And so I'll maybe revise some of the titles. If I have a little subject line or something, maybe I'll grab something from an existing blog or somewhere just to give me real data. Usually when you want to build with as close to the finish as product from a content perspective as possible. So yeah, just wanted to share a little bit of that. Harshit, do you ever do any of that? Do you have any tips on that stuff?
Yeah. I think I actually do this all the time. Whenever I'm creating the blog for our clients, I always create a test data. That's actually a really nice way to get it started and make the whole design, and then actually delete the data and create the new one. I don't recommend renaming the data. That's not safe because you may break some links. So it's always better that when working, create some test data, and then when you want real data inside, just delete the old one and upload the new ones.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a
Yep.
good way. Anytime I do use dummy data in my project, anytime I go to give it to the client, you're gonna want to just select all, delete, right? So that you don't have to worry about. I've had clients and they've taken a website and they want to go in and they want to change stuff, but maybe they didn't change the OG image, or maybe they didn't like. Actually, I've had this on clonables before, like that no-code.video clonable. I've seen people launch products and then I see the meta descriptions on some of their pages and I'm like, hey, those are my meta descriptions. And so it's like, yeah, a lot of times if you're using that placeholder content, you want to be real careful to replace that or remove it before you turn that over to the client. Okay, Harshit, talk to me. I see you.
Yeah.
You've placed the collection item in the middle of the page. You've positioned that centrally, and now you've got another image happening here. How did we get to where we're at?
Yeah, for sure. So I actually renamed this thing to home header component. And then inside that, I'm going to place two new components. One of them is going to be feature news, and one of them is going to be just news component so that I can reuse that. Okay. But for now, what I'm doing here is I have set my home header component to position relative so that I can have this image set as absolute position, right? Because our blog is kind of going to overlap this thing. So let's actually place some heading here, and let's make it white. Instead of making the text white, I'm just going to apply the white to the whole thing. Or maybe if we have a lot of white, we can actually make the whole website white. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, let's do that actually. Let's go to the body and make all of our text white. Here we go. And now you can see the pattern that I have is actually set to position absolute, and I have set this to z index -1 so that my content is above it. The name of this image is home header pattern image, home header underscore pattern image. When I see this underscore and the name, I can completely understand that this belongs to home header component. And inside home header component, we can make other components as well that we can reuse throughout the website.
Nice. Okay.
I
Yeah.
Joe?
I'd love to bring up a question a few minutes ago from Blue Ocean. And Blue Ocean asks, isn't there usually page padding after section? Good question. Well, there can be page padding after the section, but it doesn't need to be after the section. It may not be used at all for certain sections. That's exactly why we separate page padding from other classes, from other elements. We can optionally add it to the build or not. This build is a little bit different than your standard build. It has different shapes and elements in it, and Harshit has decided to actually apply the padding direct to a custom class instead of using that page padding. So in that blue, I believe that's applied right to the section header. Yeah. And that section header has padding all around, and it's named section header. So maybe this is something that's reused throughout the build. And maybe this is something that doesn't follow the normal page padding throughout the rest of the build. So that's the beauty of this page padding, that you can add it. You don't have to add it. Depends on the build and depends on your strategy for how to manage that padding. So Blue Ocean, hopefully that answers your question there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I would also like to add on that.
Yeah.
So so I was saying that when making these kind of website, I have not prepared everything, right? So there will be some test and errors, trial and error going on here. So you can already see that I have renamed some of the classes. Before there was like home header component, but I just named it as section header for now. So as we move on, I will make minor improvements, and I can also show that. So as you just mentioned, we can use page padding. I just looked inside all of the sections of the page, and I can see that page padding is kind of similar in all of the sections. So what I will do is I will now apply a page padding like you said here. Let's take a div block and page padding, but there is one more thing we will have to add on top of it. Our page padding is having a padding of 2.5 rems, but based on the build, I am going to increase it to maybe 3 rems. And let's place this inside. Here we go. I will remove this. Okay. But now you can see that we don't have the top and bottom padding. So I believe, okay. So top and bottom padding, I'm just going to add padding vertical here. Let's do that as well. Vertical. Add large. Okay. 3 rems. Beautiful. Is this inside? And now for the outline, what I have done is I have created a home header component, so I can easily apply that outline to it. So let's apply outline to 3 of the sides, top, left, and right. I'm going to apply 2 rems, maybe 1.5 rems. Yeah. And then let's take the color from the webs. I can name this thing as maybe outline red, something like this. I don't exactly name the name of this color, but we are going to call it outline red. And you can see that I am already having this working nice. Okay. Inside as well. Here we go. You can see that image is kind of crossing the line. So what I will do is I will just apply a negative margin to this image. Let's go for 2 rems. We will go for more. Let's go for 3 rems. Yeah, this is looking pretty close. And again, guys, please don't care about this image. I created this randomly in Figma. I was not able to extract the correct image. So this is what I have for now. And you will have this in your asset as well.
Nice. And there's a couple questions here.
Yeah.
Let's see. What's it? Why not have component underscore feature dash new instead of feature dash news underscore component? That way you'd be able to see all component items in a list.
I would love to answer this. So Daniel, the reason we don't have this, number one, is component is not the most important word in this class name. We want to order our keywords in a class name based on how important they are, how much context we can get from what we're looking at. And component, from all those words, featured in news, is the least important. just like a color may be the least important. We want what visual we're looking at first. In client first, we put that component at the end so we can use the prefix keyword everywhere inside that component. So featured news can be used as featured news list, featured news item, featured news text, featured news image, and so on. When we put that component before, we then break that ordering. Also, you can still search for all of your components. You can still type in a keyword of component in search, and that should return all of your components. That doesn't change. So between those two reasons, ordering everything inside that component and the word component being the least important, that's why it goes at the end.
Okay. And Harshit, you got to slow it down, buddy. You got to tell us what you're doing here. I see you adding titles. I see you like making big moves here, right? And it's not big moves. It looks like a lot's happening on the screen, but all you're doing is binding the data to a CMS. So can you undo a couple of those steps and show us what exactly did you just do there to get the headline text there, to get the content that you wanted in place?
Yeah, for sure. So the very first thing that I did here, I'm going to do everything again. So the very first thing that I did here is kind of reduce the brightness of this image so that our text is kind of creating a nice contrast. I can see that on the original website. So I just went to my filters and I applied a brightness of 65%. Here we go. And now you can see the text is kind of visible. Then I connected my headings and my paragraphs to the CMS data that I was having. So it is connected. Now, because this is a featured collection list, I'm going to make this, I'm going to apply a filter to it that will have a featured button. So if you go inside our blog collection, you can see that we have a featured toggle here. So when I'm going to turn this on, I can see the featured blog in the top. So this is what I'm going to do. Now I'm going to apply a filter over here. Let's do that. I'm going to apply a filter and we are going to select featured is switch on and save that. And I'm going to also apply a sort order. Let's say the order is by published date and the order will be newest to the oldest. Let's save this. And here we go. The hero, our featured section is ready. Yeah.
Nice.
I can also have dates and all that. Yeah, let's add that as well.
And can we maybe also show people how they can crop that? It sounds like maybe can we figure out how to crop those 3 lines there?
These?
Yeah, like the 3. You see how you see how our description is like 4 lines there? Can we show people how we clamp that? Don't we have like something in the CSS that allows us to kind of crop or clip that at 3 lines?
Yeah, that's a nice question, Ramar. Yeah, let's do that. So in client first, we have a global that is named as text style 2 lines and 3 lines. We can always change these, but 2 and 3 is a number that is most used. Okay, so what I will do is let's go for 2 lines. When I select text style 2 lines, our lines will be limited to 2 lines here.
Nice.
Okay, our paragraph will be limited to 2 lines, and after that we will have ellipsis, that is dot dot dot. And if I go with 3 lines, I can just type 3 lines. A paragraph is limited to 3 lines.
Nice.
And the code for that is actually inside our global styles. So I'm going to show you the code.
Perfect.
It is right here. Yep.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you next is like, where do you get that? Because you can adjust that. That's in the, if you go into the client first clonable and you see like, oh, there's this symbol in here. It's like this global, and it's like, what is this? Well, this is some of those functionalities, right? So little things like this that we always found ourselves adding to various projects. We're like, hey, let's put this in there for everyone to use it. So you can delete it, you can not use it, whatever, but you can see real quickly in an instant like this, there's some, custom code in here that when you apply a specific class, it's just going to limit that to 2 lines or 3 lines, which again is very, it's very useful when you're building something like this. So thanks, Harshit, for kind of explaining us how we can do that real easily.
Sure.
And this is also very useful for working with clients. It's very common that we go and build something for a client, it looks great, and then they add way too much text to something, or they change something to make the text many more lines. So we can cut it off at a certain amount of lines. It's almost like a visual max character limit that you would set in the CMS. So this is really useful. Tell your clients that you can set this up for them to make sure that things don't get too long or too short in the build.
Right.
Really nice.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Harshit,
okay, let's jump to the build.
yeah, on this, just a question: do we have tags or categories in our CMS collection here that we're going to use for this culture tag or the whatever it is at the top of that little CMS section? And then what's the best way to get the 2-color look there? So can you explain both that category and how to get the white and red 2-color look? And it looks like maybe even setting some kind of flex container to get those 2 texts side by side.
Yeah, for sure. It is going to be a nice structure that we can have here. So the very first thing that I will do here, let's first see the structure here. So what I will do is I will create a div block. I will take a div block and I'm going to name this thing feature news top wrapper. So this is very clear that this is a wrapper that is in the top and it is wrapping something, right? And inside that, I'm going to place my date and my category. So category is going to be a plain text. Now I'm going to apply a flex box. As Rama said, let's apply a flex box. Let's align this and justify this to the left. It looks great. And I can see that we have some kind of bottom margin. Let's remove this. Here we go. Place it here. And on the date, because we have the date on all of the collection down bottom as well. Okay, I can see that. And it's having a margin left. So I'm just going to apply the margin right here, like maybe 1 rem. No, it's too much. Let's go for 0.5 rems. And it's always great to use like 0.5, 1, 2.5, 3, because most probably that will actually lie in a 4-point system. So you can actually freely use those numbers here with rems. Yeah. And
Nice.
let's type it for now. Yeah. We can create a different collection and link it as well. But for now, I'm just going to have this. And yeah, here we go. We set it to the flex box and let's give it a margin, a bottom margin.
Yeah, and then
You can also change
you
the
can
date
text
format.
transform to full caps. And this is something that you should get in the habit of using the text transform rather than like typing all caps, because for a number of reasons. If the client forgets to do all caps, now you can start getting inconsistencies. Maybe when they type in the category, they do camel case on some and lowercase on others. And so, those text transforms to make sure that it's always caps or always lowercase or whatever is just a good way to make sure the client can't mess any of that up.
And Daniel, a follow-up on your question about why component wouldn't go first. Look at that navigator and look how clear it is to look at all of these featured words. We just see featured, 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 featured. It goes all the way down, and very easily we can scan to see what's part of that component. What are elements that are created for this component? So that's a really nice reason why we keep that component name in the front and not the word component in the front.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if you did component on the front, literally that might be all you see running down your screen, which could then get difficult for a number of reasons. And then there's a good question here from WKD. When we clamp the lines like that, what happens to the hidden text? Is there a way to display it? Thinking about some jQuery to remove the line clamps on the click of a button. Could you do this with an interaction of some sort, or is that just gone forever in this instance?
Yeah, I would like to answer that.
That's a good question. Oh, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, Joe, you can go ahead and then I can explain how it works actually.
Okay. Well, I just thought of this now. I've never tried this, but I would think a really easy way to do it is to set a click trigger that when you click that text or click that read more, it will simply remove that class from the element. And we have, yep, class editor interactions tool. There we go. So you click that text, remove that 3 lines class, and it should just show everything.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Arturo's,
And
oh, go ahead.
how? Mhm. Yeah. I was saying that how it would how it really works. So I can show you that as well. So if I go inside my global styles, I have 2 or 3 things here. So the things that are important here to actually expose the whole thing is this overflow hidden property. I will actually remove this thing, so you will actually understand what is really happening here. Okay, we are using text line 3, right? Let's remove this as well. Display web box. Okay, text line 3. Okay, did I save it?
I think you removed it from 2.
Oh, sorry. Oh yeah, so this is the correct one. Sorry, there we go. Let's remove the overflow hidden. Once I do that, you can see the line is actually here. After 3 lines, it is actually here. It is kind of reducing the size of my paragraph, just like this. And then it is setting the overflow to hidden so that the rest of the paragraph is not visible. So this is how this is really working. We have this overflow property in our global styles, and this is a kind of exposing the whole thing.
Nice.
Yeah.
And again, just as a reminder for anybody who's watching at home or at work or wherever it is that you're checking this out, you can come right into this project. We shared the preview link. It's pinned at the top of the project here. But in real time, you can open this up if you'd like, and you can take a look at everything that Harshit is building here on the fly, as I'm doing here and opening up all of the different classes and styles, etc., that Harshit has created. So if you're interested in not just following along with the screen, but also in the live project, click that little button there at the top of your screen.
So, Reimar, people keep asking about this, the Client First Bootcamp, and for some reason, YouTube is not letting me share this link. I keep sharing it in the chat, and it just doesn't post. So I've just shared it with you. If you could post that in the chat as Finsweet, so people can get access to that form, please. Yeah, there it is.
There it is, and it's clickable. Nice. I think, let me do this. I wonder if I can, let's see, let's go back. Manage moderators. Can I make... Maybe I have to do it by email. Yeah, remind me after the show. I should make sure that we can add all of our personal YouTube profiles in here as. Let's go back to this screen so that people can, so that we can add. We can have you add links like that, and they show up on the screen.
Nice. So look at this keyword here: news. News component, news collection, news list, news item. Based on how general that term is, I'm going to assume that Harshit has ideas to reuse that later in the build. It could be later in the page, it could be somewhere else, but it's just news. So right now, until he changes that to something else, I'm assuming this is a very general and global type component that will be reused.
Yeah. Well, and I also want to show out how simple this little top section is with these overlapping lines and this image and the shape and everything. And, sometimes you can see these layouts and you think like, like, oh, this is super hard to build. But then you see it and you're like, oh, it's not that hard, right? And so that's why sometimes just watching somebody go through the build, is super helpful. And WKD is asking, Joe isn't mod on his own channel. I'm assuming it's because Joe's actually logged in as Joe right now, not as Finsweet. So if Joe was logged in as Finsweet, he could be posting as Finsweet there. But I think he likes to be on as Joe so that, you know, just for communication there. But yeah, that is kind of funny. All right, Harshit, so what's going on here? You've got some new headings on the page. I'm assuming you're trying to get this 3-column layout look that we have here on the outline official site here. So we've got this cool little, it's like a title that hovers. There's some little icon or emoji or PNG image that shows up here. So is that what you're working on, Harshit? Walk me through what you're going through here.
Yeah, for sure. Right now I'm working on the news collection, and what I am doing here is having a H2 here. First, I would structure the structure of home header. So once I open that, I can see that it is divided into 2 parts. The third is actually the image that is set as a position absolute. So I can clearly see that we have 2 components inside this home header component. And if I open the first one, I can see it is all related to the future news. And the second one I'm building right now is actually the real news collection. I have this news underscore component news collection, the same naming that I did here on the first one. And I'm just going to follow this naming throughout. Now you can see that my heading is kind of very large. I will not make it H3, H4. I want to make it H2. So what I will use here is our heading global classes. So I'm going to pick up heading small. Yeah, this kind of looks great. And we can then pick up, I can just connect this with my CMS. Just like this. Here we go. You can see that my featured news top wrapper is kind of now, I will have to use this here as well. So there are 2 options now. I can actually rename this to something like maybe tag wrapper so that I can reuse it on this one as well. Okay. There we go. Let's place it. Okay, here we go. So I can do this, or I can just create another wrapper and then rename it. What I'm going to do is create a tag wrapper that I can use throughout the website. I just created a global that is reusable, and it's fine. Now, again, one more important thing here. You can see that it's kind of having a less space than the first one. What I will do is apply a combo class called is small. Once I do that, I can simply change the bottom margin like this.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. And Daniel asked a good question there. He goes, hang on, how come the embed code is updating live in the designer? And I thought he was asking something totally different. It looks like y'all answered the question about when you add the style inside of an embed in the designer, it shows in the designer. I was wondering if maybe because of the collaborative feature, maybe it was showing real-time changes like in the preview link, right? So like as he was modifying it, maybe it was like updating in the designer. I was like, oh, that'd be wicked cool if that design collaboration stuff extended to the preview links. That would be amazing.
Not there yet. Almost.
Yeah, I know.
Let's hope.
Soon enough. Okay, so 20 myths about web design. And Harshit, how do you think, okay, so they have multiple, so it's like 6. What's the best way for these little icons and for the, to add the images here? Have we prepped to show any of that? Or what would be the best way to get like those funky little flyout images on inside of these CMS collection items that you have here?
Yeah, I would like to actually show that. That's a really interesting one. Let's actually show that.
And just
okay,
real
my
quick,
screen resolution was wrong.
one sec. I want to see, are you using a grid with the CMS in the grid, or did you set this up as a flex? Let's let people know what kind of structure you use to lay out these 3 columns here.
Yeah, for sure. So I have a grid I actually set my collection list. So we have first the collection wrapper. After that comes the collection list, and I have applied the grid settings to my collection list. Make sure to change the size in RAMs. So I just applied a RAM here, 1.5. This will also become 1.5, and our grid is ready. Now I just fixed some of the sizes here. You always have the power actually to change the global sizings. So I'm just looking inside the size that we have, that is around 30 pixels. So for the 4 point system, I'm going to make it 32. That is already here. So this is good. So 2 RAMs is actually 32 pixels. I'm going to keep it as it is. Okay, Remar, I have a really nice CSS trick as well to make the next part of it. So if you see the next part of this thing, let me actually show it on my screen. Okay, let's refresh this thing. Okay, you can see that we have a nice line kind of pattern here, and then this image. This is also a nice thing that I already created in CMS. Let's build this part. This is going to be interesting one. There are two ways to do that. First, I'm just going to take a wrapper. I'm going to call it news underscore pattern wrapper. Here we go. Yeah. And now I'm going to place an image inside, and that image you can find that in the assets. Here is the image. I'm not sure if they're using this one, but I'm going to use this one because this is going to be a night tutorial here. Let's name this thing as news news pattern item. Yeah, let's call it this. Now I'm just going to copy and paste this thing and set my news pattern wrapper to a flex like this. You can see that it is kind of overflowing, so I can always apply a sizing to it, something like maybe let's actually make this thing auto. Maybe will it work? No. Okay, so what is wrong I'm doing here? Let's try to fix this thing really quick.
Nice. Yeah, and this is the fun of doing things live, you know, experimenting a little bit
Yeah.
here, just showing that, you know, we don't always know exactly how to do certain things. Sometimes you just got to mess around and play inside of here. So, yeah, it looks like, is it just maybe adjusting the width of your initial little image?
Mm-hmm.
Would it be
Yeah,
that simple?
that could work. Let me do that. Okay, so you know what we generally do is actually expand this thing, so have the sizing to expand, and then when we create these, okay, yeah, it is working. Okay, here we go. It works up to 2 of them. Yeah. And okay, I'm just going to give it a width. Let's give it a width.
Yeah, I was
Remove
gonna
the
say, just
sizing.
change the width of your
Give it a
image
bit
a
of
little bit
beauty.
here to like 15 pixels or maybe 1 rem or something. You probably get
Okay.
there.
Yeah, 1.5 RAM. Yeah, that's better. Okay, nice. Let's apply a bottom margin. We can go with a margin top here. Let's do that. Mar top and mar medium. Here we go. I'm just typing the shortcuts here. Place our news wrapper inside that, and yeah, it's kind of looking nice. It's already in there. Let's expand this thing, something like this. I was thinking that I will have to flip this thing. So if I want to flip this thing like in alternate manner, I can use CSS. So should I show the CSS use as well here, Remar?
What do you mean by flipping it? I'm trying to look in closer at what you're
So
doing here.
yeah, for sure. So when I started this section, I thought that I will have to actually change the direction. I mean, flip it vertically in alternate manner, like in even images. So for that, actually, we can use a simple CSS. Let's see that one as well. So I'm just going to write a simple CSS here.
Ooh, we
First,
stepped out of the code, no
yeah.
code world. We're now in the code world. Hopefully
So-
nobody's getting scared off, but don't worry, we'll make it. We'll make it. We'll make it work for you. So
Yeah, this is really easy. Yeah, this is really easy. Okay, so first I have my class name, that is news pattern item. Then I'm going to use a CSS selector, that is I'm going to select items and even. So what I will do, I will type nth child, and on the bracket I will type even, like this. Or I think this is the wrong one. I directly have to type even. Let's see, I'm not exactly sure, but okay, I think this is the correct one. Okay, now let's apply this open bracket, and I'm going to apply a transform. Now I don't remember the transform property, so I can always use Webflow to actually recall me the transform property. Let's go inside our transform and apply a rotation to it, just like this. Let's rotate this thing to 180. Here we go. And I can see the property here on CSS preview. Now I know the property name. I can just copy this thing and I can go back to my embed. Okay, here's my embed. It's not good to place it here. Let's place this outside of
hard
our
to
collection
find it,
wrapper.
huh? There it is.
Yeah. And let's have this property. Rotate 180 degree, and let's close our style.
And now you just grabbed,
work.
you just grabbed this from the
Yeah.
CSS in Webflow, and yeah, slapped it right into your custom code. Nice, perfect.
Yeah.
And Clammy's saying, I love how
So-
collaborative this is. If that happened to me during a live, I'd most likely throw the laptop out the window and disappear forever. Yeah, Clammy, if you ever need, color commentary or background support, let us know. We can bring in the reinforcements too. And it looks like, oh, there's Joe. He's back. Okay, Harshit. So have we figured out our little CSS there at the bottom? What's next?
Yeah, you can see that my items are now flipped in an even manner. So it's not exactly the correct one like we have in the design, but this CSS tricks works, right? Really, you can use this in these kind of scenarios if you want. So I don't think we need that at this moment. So I'm
Yeah.
just going to
I was gonna
remove
say it
that.
almost looked better before that.
Yeah, here we go.
There we go.
Yeah, now let's add that meme icon. Let's add that. Okay, so I will take
Nick,
an image.
I'm gonna rewatch this whole thing a mere 40 times. That must be where all the views are coming, you know? It's just like 10 people rewatching the video 50 times. I was just sharing with Joe the other day, our YouTube stats are, growing exactly how you'd want YouTube stats to grow if you were growing a channel. The overall watch time, and thanks to everyone who tunes in for all of that, because it has been exciting to see this grow, to watch the channel grow, to kind of be, offering this much value that people come back time and time again, week in, week out, to hang out with us. So again, kudos to all of y'all for tuning in and making that possible. All right. So hey, Harshit, did you preload these then into this collection ahead of time, or how are you getting these images into the collection? Are you manually
Yeah,
kind of
so
going through
when
right
you
now
were
and doing
actually,
that?
when you were discussing with Joe in when the stream started, I was kind of uploading some of them
Got it.
so that we have few of them in the place. Yeah, there we go. We don't have all of them, but we have few of them here. Yep. So let's go back here, and first I will just going to limit this to 6 items like in our website.
Sure.
Okay, and this image right here, it's called news
But
meme icon.
let's just
This
remind
reminds me
people
of
how you
memes.
can limit the
Okay.
6 items in the settings there.
Yep. So first we will go to our collection list settings. And then here we have option for limit items. I'm going to limit this to 6 items. And yeah, there we go. And I think we just need to start it with 2 maybe. Okay, yeah, this is fine. Let's save this thing. Here we go. And I have let me show the structure of this news pattern thing. So I'm definitely going to increase the padding here. Okay, we have the option for, we can always hit backspace on our size and we can add a new one. I'm going to select margin large. This is a kind of a nice way to test different sizes. I don't really like this one as well. Let's go with margin X large. And
Yeah, XL, that's the one.
uh,
Pablo Cortez
okay.
was saying, wouldn't it be easier just to create the SVG in Figma rather than copying multiple times and adding the custom code? 100%. We talked about this before. There's lots of ways to kind of figure this stuff out. So Harshit was just showing you one way that, let's say you had an object that you wanted to kind of versatilely recreate like that. The other thing is maybe you're using this a lot and you only want the object to load once and you can, bring it in dynamically. I don't know. There's lots of ways. It could be a single line that you want there, but what if the line's got to be longer or shorter? And maybe the SVG would then scale, right? And so using a smaller version of that, if you need to extend the line, you can add more to that line. You can hide that overflow. Let's say you want to make this swiggle. You could then move that whole wrapper left and right as someone scrolls up and down the page. And so there's a lot of reasons why you might want to use a different approach here. But yeah, nothing wrong, Pablo, with creating that as an SVG asset in Figma or wherever tool and then bringing that over. And then Daniel, sorry, missed the certification mention. Is the link you posted for signing up to a course? No, we're accepting signups for a first round boot camp for client first. So we did a first internal boot camp as a team. The folks who kind of built the system worked with us in the, like the entire Finsweet team. And we had like 5 newcomers come on that we did this boot camp to see how it was like to onboard folks, to teach people, to get them up to speed with client first. And what we're looking to do now is do another boot camp as a test with some folks from the audience. And so like this was internal test. This next one's going to be like our alpha public test. And then the idea is that once that opens up, we're going to open that up at scale for people to kind of come through this boot camp and get client first certified. Did I miss anything there, Joe?
That is exactly correct. Yeah, and the benefit of being client first certified is that you can put a tag on your site to say, I know client first. Finsweet has verified that I know client first. And when you share these docs with your leads, when you say, hey, I build in this system, you can also add that you are considered a pro in this system. And we're doing this to try to help people land more deals, be more confident in their builds and really understand what we're trying to share here.
Yeah, and one of the beautiful things I'm loving about Webflow and this preview link is I just have to refresh my screen here and literally whatever changes and updates Harshit is making are just there because Webflow's auto-saving this thing. I thought you had to like publish it, but I don't think you do. Yeah, super cool. This is going to be great as a learning tool, actually, for us to in real time just give people access to everything that is being built here in real time. Yeah, super cool. So if anybody, again, that's pinned at the top of the live chat, if anybody is looking for that.
And Harshit, before we move on to the next section, before we continue here, I want to make a comment on this change of tag wrapper and what you have inside of it. That originally this class was called, I believe, featured news tag wrapper, let's say, and you switched it to just tag wrapper so it could be reused in other sections. And now inside of this class, you have specific classes for featured news. This is so common that we change an outer class name and then we forget to change the inner class names. And as you get a bigger site, you want to be more aware of this, and you want to say, okay, if I'm making this tag wrapper, then the inner thing should be tag wrapper. So it's truly global and universal. The last thing we want is to use tag wrapper 10 different areas throughout the build and realize that we have these inner class names of featured news when that doesn't actually relate to the section. So we don't have to change it now. This could be something that's changed afterwards. But this is something that I would want to change as a developer, making sure that these inner class names are, let's say, tag wrapper category or tag wrapper date, maybe making tag wrapper a component. We can do something like tag wrapper underscore component.
Yeah.
And now the tag wrapper is a component in itself, and that's truly reusable in any of the blog post types. It could be on any page, any section, author pages. This is the tag component. So remember, everybody out there listening, don't be afraid to update your class names. You don't have to have the final name on your original build, on your original styling. If you see that you're starting to reuse this element throughout the build, consider taking a few minutes to rename these classes so that they are much more readable when you go and share that project.
Yeah, nice. Hey, Harshit, I'm gonna challenge you a little bit on the spot here and see if we can show folks a little bit of the versatility of this global spacing system. So take a look at the screen here. I'm gonna switch to, this is the official outline site here. And I think we're a little short on our exterior padding. And then if we look, it looks like there's a max width in this center column here. And we've talked about, like we did the max width on those previous projects. So how would somebody, if they wanted to then come retroactively add a little bit more padding there, how would they do that with the client first? Because when I look at the client first build here in the Webflow preview, it's kind of spreading a little wide. So how could I easily come in here to this project using client first and add a little bit of that, whether it's max width or just add a little bit more margin inside of there?
Yeah, that's nice. So I'm going to cover two parts of it. Okay, so one of them will be a container. So as you can see, I don't have a container yet here. So I'm going to have I can see when I expand the website, it's having a max width, but the section is expanding. Okay, so now what I will do is I'm going to divide this question into two parts, Remar. So let's see this section padding. You also want me to cover this one, right? The power of this global class of client first.
Correct.
Okay, nice. Yeah, so let's jump into this. So as I scroll, I see that our sections are kind of having padding on all four directions. So now I'm not feeling good about these using these two. So instead, what I want to do now is create a global that is called section padding instead. So let's create that global. I can always go with this method as well. I will have to increase my page padding like this, and then I will have to select something like padding large, maybe X large, to make it work. Okay, yeah, so it's kind of a back and forth here. So instead I just want to create a global that is called section padding, and now I know that this is a padding that is going to be used in all of our sections. I think that's much better. We can always create a section padding like this, and let's take this all inside, something like this. If we want to use page padding in this, then we will have to divide this into two parts. Now let's also see the container thing. So if I expand my website, everything is kind of expanding, and now I'm going to use our containers to kind of stop it. My container will be placed inside this home header, because in the website I can see that outline is expanding but the content is not. So let's take the container, place it inside here, container large, and take this all in. There we go. Now when I'm expanding, you can see that it's kind of having a limited line over there. Let's make our container a little bit small, I believe. Yeah, maybe container medium. Yeah, this is looking perfect. So this is how I will do it, Remar. And now I can use this section padding in all of my sections. It's a universal class now, a global class.
And do you see how Harshit walked through that thought process? That we don't have by default section padding in client first. We use the page padding and then the optional vertical padding. But he's decided to use this section padding because it works well for this site. And when you go to the outline.com, you'll see a lot of these very straight sections that have the same type of padding. And this type of padding is used for all of the sections. Everything follows this same feel. And that's why this is a good decision. So it's not about you need to use this, you need to use this. It's about making this educated decision for how to manage your padding. And that's exactly what he's done. This is padding on all 4 sides. It's going to be updated global through all the sections. And that is, yeah, it's just a really nice thought process here.
Right.
Nice. Yeah.
Great. Yeah, and if you're following along, again, we're running through a lot of this in the context of you can build anything using the client first in fairly simple ways, and then it is easy to go back and retrofit or add something that you might have missed. What we're not going to do is spend like a ton of time going into all of the details. So if you've got the pages side by side and you're noticing that there's a little discrepancy here or a little discrepancy there, that's not what we're trying to do. We're not trying to like 100% recreate the page. We're just trying to show you the versatility of how you can build with these tools in a fairly quick timeline, right? Within a fairly quick matter of time, you can have some beautiful little page set up just like this. So Harshit, where are we at now?
Yeah, so I was kind of making the nav bar, but before I jump to the nav bar, I would like to show a really nice thing. Okay, let's close our nav bar. Let's hide it for now. I will just call it nav component so that Webflow don't create the class. Let's hide this. Okay, I would like to show a really nice structure for this news link. So generally with these kind of sections, we have a common problem that when we make them by default, they are not kind of equal in some of that. Okay, it is based on the content. So what I want here is I want to take this this pattern image, and I want this to always stick to the bottom and aligned with all other cards here. So for that, what I am doing here is I have created 2 wrappers. So the first wrapper is called news item top wrapper. That means that it is top wrapper of the item, and inside that now I place my tag component and heading. After that, I have my margin bottom separate, and then I have my patterns inside that. Once I do that, I can apply a flex box setting to my link block, and I will just create a justify space between this one. Here we go. So now everything is aligned perfectly. Even if I change the content, it is going to be aligned. Let's just increase the content of some of the. I will just copy and paste this thing here. A hypothetical situation. And oh, I think I will have to put myself on mute for some second. Okay. Can you guys hear some kind of background noise? Mar?
Oh, that's okay.
No? Okay,
No.
okay. I think noise cancellation is working. Okay. Yeah. There's a marriage going on outside. Okay, here we go.
Nice.
So you can see that I have my I have my text here, and everything is aligned perfectly. We don't really have this much of text, but with this structure now, I can have this always aligned. And this is how we should structure it really.
Yeah.
We should divide it into 2 parts, set it to Flexbox, boom. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, and this is a great thing for just people to show. I would like if you could, Harshit, can we go back and show people, because that happens all the time. People try to figure out, they create like a little blog section and just undo the spacing where that's like, I think you had either a line to the top as opposed to a line top to bottom. And so just walk me through that section again, because I see this all the time with people who create these blog areas, and then they have these like 3 columns, and then one of them is super long like you just created, and then the other ones kind of sit higher than that. And so walk through real quick what you did there was basically have like a top content section and a bottom content section, and you set the parent to flex, and then you set the alignment top to bottom. So walk me through that again real slow one time, because I think that's super valuable for a lot of people who are just trying to learn and figure out exactly how do you make these sections like that.
Yep, for sure. So I have my news link block here. And why I have my link separate as item, because we cannot really make our items as link blocks. So I have the link block separately here so that I can also connect this to my internal pages and something like this. So let's jump to the structure now. So this is by default what we generally do in most of the cases. We have our tag component, our heading, and then our pattern wrapper. This is how we generally do it. And the problem that comes with it is this right here. You can see that this is not really aligned with rest of the items, and this will actually depend on the amount of content that is getting inside the card. Now what I want is I
So
want
do
to
me a
align
favor,
this
Harshit, real
perfectly.
quick. Go
Yeah.
to the item and add the extra text just to like exaggerate what we're talking about here. So go to the, go to that one title and just add the extra text on that, and then show people how like now you get the one super long one where the other ones are still kind of at the top.
Yeah, here we go. It's messed up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. And now walk through real
And
slow what it is that you're doing here to get to the next step.
yeah, sure. Let's fix it this way. Okay. So now what I will do is I'm going to use the power of Flexbox here. So I will take a div block inside my nav link card, something like this. That is called nav link block right now. And then I'm going to divide the children of this link block into two parts so that I can apply a flex box to it. Okay. In this kind of scenarios, it's actually good to use the direction naming. So I'm just going to use top wrapper, bottom wrapper, left wrapper, right wrapper. So it's very clear to you that it is actually on the top, it's on the bottom. You can do something like that. So I'm just going to use here news item top wrapper. Okay. Let's select this thing and place our tag component and heading inside that. So I just want to align it something like this. So like heading and tag is kind of in top, and then my pattern is on the bottom. We have this set up, and now we are going to apply a flex box to our link block. Let's make it vertical, and then let's justify it space between. When we do that, you can see that it is kind of perfectly aligned now. I can go and fix this thing, but it is perfectly aligned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can do, I mean, Harshit, you're saying top or bottom. Sometimes, like when I'm making a card, like let's say it's a Facebook card or a Twitter card or something like that, you may have a header section and a middle section and a card footer, right? So it's okay to make the component card footer or card header or card profile header, card body, whatever it is. And so again, that just allows you to have div inside of a div inside of a div. So now you can manage the alignment of all of those, and then you can stretch the parent to fit so that they all kind of match along one horizontal row. And so that's just a valuable little CSS/Flexbox thing for anybody who's watching this and learning as you go.
Yeah, we can also name this to something like, so top wrapper works here. We can name it content wrapper. Now I know that all the content inside this card is actually placed on the top, so I can name it like news content. Yeah, the content only works. It's fine to have content. We can call it content wrapper as well. So there are actually multiple ways to name things. You should name something that is most relevant to you and easy to understand. I'm
Yeah.
going to switch the name here to news content wrapper.
Yeah, and the naming should depend on how many of these sections you're going to use. So this could be like a 2-column header card wrapper, right? Or whatever else you wanted, to like get the same effect. But you like, if you're going to reuse the element a bunch of different times and only one type, then you can call it maybe content wrapper. But maybe it needs to be specific because this is going to be your blog card wrapper, or this is going to be your hero testimonial header, wrapper or something like that. And so again, using a little bit of specificity. Pablo Cortez is saying, I would have used grid instead. You can get the same result inside of grid, right? The parent of that div will fit into the container, but you may not still get the perfect horizontal alignment without using some of those flex properties, Pablo. So let's see, Peter Blanchford, that's a really nice solution for that, way more versatile than my grid solution. Yeah, again, grids work. There's multiple ways to do this, so grids are viable as well. Sweet. Okay, where are we at, Harshit? Headed to the next section, or what are you working on right now?
Yeah, I want to show a nice use case here as well. So this is not really on the live website, but I would like to cover it here. So let's say I'm going to reuse this section, and it's let's say it's having 2 column in the next one. So what I will do is, because in a lot of scenarios you really need that, where most of the things are same but the column is different, the amount of column is different. I will first, let's say, copy and paste the whole thing. And remember, I use the shortcut key. So Control plus C and Control plus V. Yeah. So we have the section here, and let's make it a 2 call section. Everything will remain same because I created it intentionally that news collection is going to be reused here. So let's try to reuse it here. And what I will do is I will create a combo class that is called is to call. Okay. Now I have this combo class. I can go and edit my grid and make it 2 column grid, just like this. Here we go. And because I have my heading medium here, I can always remove this thing and make it heading large or maybe heading small. I think we should make it something bigger. Let's also see a scenario where we kind of want something in between. So if I make it large, yeah, here we go. We have the new layout ready with us. And yeah, so this is what I wanted to show. Actually, if you want to recreate a section, make little changes to it and reuse it. It's kind of
Nice.
flexible.
Yeah, and again, I think
And
that's
this.
Go ahead, Joe.
This is a great use case for using spacing wrappers to separate these two news collections. So let's say this was the layout. We had 3 col and then 2 col right under it, and we wanted to create some spacing. We may not want to apply that spacing direct to the news collection class. This is going to be used everywhere, maybe on the authors page and the categories page and all throughout the build. And applying that margin top to that news collection class is going to limit us to what that margin has to be. Then we start adding combo classes to say this doesn't have margin, this has more margin, and we don't want that many combos. So instead, we can wrap that second news collection in a margin top, and we can manage that margin top just for that instance, not for every single news collection in the project. So this is a great, great use case of those global spacings, not applying that margin direct to a really important class like that.
Nice.
And there we go. Harshit's making it happen, and that will work. Very nice.
Great.
Nice.
Okay, so Harshit, how far did we say we're gonna go? We've kind of got the top hero section kind of hanging tight.
Let's go to mobile.
What's the next step?
Let's get a little responsive.
Let's not build any deeper. Let's get rid of that second collection there, and let's just see how this thing goes down and deal with the mobile responsiveness.
Yeah, let's jump to our tablet here. And in the tablet, what I first see is my page wrapper. Let me also switch the main website to tablets so I can see what they have there. There we go. Okay. Okay. I'm going to reduce my page wrapper to 3 rems. And again, there is a better way to do this. You can see that I am having kind of an error here. The good way is apply the padding to one side. Generally, we do it this way. We are trying to match the whole thing. What you can do is type the number on only one direction. Let's say on the top, And instead of making a vertical movement, make a horizontal movement like this. So this will be much faster. Here we go. I just applied this to all of the sites without any error.
And that's a good tip because
this is a nice
sometimes,
trick.
like let's say if you're using a little trackpad or a mouse and you're trying to scroll up and down, it's hard to maybe end exactly on that like one number or whatever it is. And so if you go left to right while holding that, it just applies the same value is what Harshit's saying.
Okay, so here we go. And let's also, okay, this is looking much better. Now what I will do is I will change my heading size. Let's make it 4.5 on the here on our PC. Let's jump back here. I don't really have the exact sizes with me. Okay, it's 72 pixels. Let's convert 72 pixels live here. We will type 72 divided by 16 rems. Oh, it was correct. I just guessed it and it is correct actually. Okay, let's jump here and let's reduce the size. I'm just going to take some random size like 3 rems. Looking nice. Okay. And then
And look at how he's applying that to the tag. Very important. People new to Webflow, we need to be changing these on the tag. So continue to change these headers. Make sure let's make it very clear to everybody that we're changing it on the tag, not a class.
Yeah, that's a really important step. Actually, in Webflow, we have actually option to select all the H1 tags. We also have option for H2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Then paragraphs, those are all HTML tags. We can control them globally by selecting the whole tag and changing the size in different breakpoints. It's really important for us to do this thing because if I will apply it directly, you can see that Webflow will create a class for us. And see, Webflow just created a class that is called heading. We don't want that. It is going to make your website inconsistent and super hard to manage it. So we don't really recommend applying a style directly to, uh, directly to an element. Select the tag and then apply it here.
Nice. Daniel's giving us a little bit of love there, saying, I foresee client first. Let's see, I'll just put it up on the screen. Becoming a standard for Webflow, it's really a game changer. And yeah, it's one of those things that just, it creates consistency. It creates like just structure in a place where most of us didn't have it. Like most of us are coming to Webflow without a lot of, web design experience in the context where we learn the semantic nature of how these things work, of how the languages work, right? A lot of us didn't know how to write HTML and CSS efficiently before coming to Webflow. And so we get into Webflow as designers, as a WordPress person, as a whatever, and you just start messing with stuff and you're like, oh, I need this shape and I need this style. And you start adding classes to shit. And next thing you know, you've got 1,000 different headlines, right? You've got 20 different H2s because you just wanted that sizing and you didn't think about how it goes. And so, yeah, this is for sure one of those things that like, I wish I had when I was learning Webflow is just some guidance on how do you structure this. I looked at BEM and I looked at some other naming things, but it didn't fit because those were for CSS. They were for Bootstrap. They were for the things. And I could take some of those concepts, but it wasn't a system as robust as this is for just building inside of Webflow. So yeah, I agree, Daniel. That's a
nice.
And
I would like to
add
show
to that,
two
it
things
doesn't
here.
have to be.
Yeah. Yeah, please go ahead, Jay.
It doesn't have to be 20 different headings. It could be 4 different headings or 3 different headings.
right.
Client first is going to help you say super, super unified across your build. You may not have a messy build, but when you have 4 different H1s, that is not as organized as it can be. So it doesn't need to be this crazy, ridiculous thing.
Yep.
we're all about this really concise single typography feel, and that's what this is.
Yeah, Edgar's saying here that this build was very different from before. Awesome. Yeah, we're going to keep experimenting. I think the last two, we kind of focused. It was like hero section, text, call to action, a couple little feature sections, flip flop, whatever. And so, that's a very typical website. Last week we did the remote controller for the PlayStation, which again is like a nice site, but it still was kind of like hero section, thing, column, whatever. And so we wanted to show this is a little bit different. This is still, visually, it's still, fairly simple to build, as you're seeing here. Same concept, same things to kind of learn, just a little bit different approach. And now you can see the full page is full of content. It's a lot more visually dynamic. And so if you'd like to suggest sites, actually, we'll tease that. Next week, we're releasing something for you all to just be able to tell us what you want us to build, what you want to see, what kind of shows you want us to be creating, and what kind of products you'd like us to focus on. And so for those watching, that's a short little tease of some of the stuff coming next week.
Yeah, the live show next week, all of them, Tuesday, Thursday, maybe we're doing something when this is going to be filled with the Finsweet team live in one area. And we're also releasing a lot of community-based things for client first, like Reimar said, things for suggesting what we should be doing. And all of that's dropping next week. So please definitely join us Tuesday, Thursday, and probably Wednesday.
Yeah. All right, Harshit, catch us up. What
Yep.
have we missed so far? I see you're touching the mobile. I see you've gone to portrait landscape. So walk me through a little bit of what have you done here?
Yeah, for sure. Before I jump to this mobile thing, I would like to show a really nice trick here that I want to use while making it responsive. I was kind of uh, yeah. Let me actually show you the trick here. So we have these icons here, the meme icons that I have with me. You can see that on phone they are kind of looking big, right? And on a PC, I don't really have a size set for them. So whenever I don't know the real width of this image or icon or anything that you have inside, what you simply need to do is you just need to click on the width and select rems. In Webflow, by default, it will select the pixel value for you. So it is appearing that it is actually calculating the wrong number, but this is in real the unit number of pixels. So this image is kind of 75 pixel. I'm just going to divide that number by 16 and hit enter. Now I have the real value in rems, that is 4.7. For the sake of 4-point system, I'm going to make it 4.5. And now I can change it on my tablet. Let's go to the mobile landscape and make it 3 rems, or maybe 3.5. 3 is kind of smaller here. And there we go. I just made that particular part responsive.
Nice.
And yeah, now let's jump to the changes that I have made here. You can see that mobile landscape is looking really different from what we have on the tablet. Tablet and PC is kind of looking same, but let's jump to the mobile landscape. So what I have done here is I actually removed the padding from my page wrapper, and I only kept the page padding on top. So I will not call it page padding, it might be confusing. I will just call it padding. So I am having padding on my page wrapper. Then what I did here, because I am using section padding in this particular build, I am not going to make it 0, but instead I made my home header component. I removed the padding from my home header component just like this. And then I also removed the outline that I was having. So I just removed the border lines as well. And now it's kind of looking very close to what we have. And then on the mobile, what I did is I actually created a single grid. I selected my grid and I deleted one of the columns here. Then let's make our text center aligned. Okay, now here comes the really nice part about using a featured item here. on mobile, if you go to the website, you can see that only featured image is center aligned. I mean the center text aligned. What I can do now is I can simply go here and apply it without worrying about others because I'm using featured as a separate component. I can simply do this, and let's also center everything like this. There we go. And we have this in place. I'm also going to reduce the spacing for tag component. Let's make it 1 rem. Yeah. And yeah, most of it is actually almost responsive. Let's change the text size.
And it looks like on
Text size
that
for
hero
yeah.
section, if we go into the site, it takes almost like the full 100% VH when it goes to mobile, that hero article. How would we accomplish that? Could you, on that featured container, could you kind of set some height on those lower breakpoints to get to that type of look?
Yeah, for sure. So it's better to use VH here. So what I will do is I will apply a VH to, let's apply it to collection component. I mean the feature news component, a minimum of 100 VH and 100 VH. And I'm going to then again center everything like this. Here we go. So it's kind of looking messy here. It's not looking good, but on the real website it will look correct because we don't really have this long mobile, right? Samsung also don't have flip is also having very smaller display than this. So this is just a hypothetical display that Webflow is having. So yeah.
Got it. And pretty soon with the Finsweet extension, you'll be able to make some vertical adjustments to that screen size to be able to make those adjustments. What were you saying, Joe?
Here we go.
I'm actually going to come in and recommend against the 100 VH. I highly recommend against VH on all mobile screens, and I'll tell you why. I'm an iPhone user, and this is incredibly frustrating when we get to mobile and there's VH applied. What it does with iOS Chrome, it's going to actually update that VH value when the bottom toolbar shows and hides. So when I'm scrolling up and down the screen, the Chrome is going to show and hide that toolbar to give me a better experience. And when that happens, it's going to readjust the VH value, which is going to make the site jump. So as a general rule, I never, ever, ever like to apply VH on mobile. Desktop, no problem. But on mobile, at least for iOS, not a good move.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah. There is a jump in our viewport. Yeah, that's right. And I'm kind of thinking about the
So
solutions we can make here. What I generally do in those scenarios are I make my minimum height 90 VH or something like this.
Yeah.
And yeah, I generally do this, like maybe make it 80 VH or 90, because there are some sections, Joe, that really need that full height so that it don't actually uh, drags in the second section, so that is kind of something that we will have to fix by maybe applying different sizes, because there are sections that really need that kind of thing. We can actually remove this thing here. It will work perfectly fine if we just apply some kind of padding here. It will work fine, but there are sections that we cannot really ignore. They exist, and in those scenarios, what we can do is simply maybe go with something like 90 VH,
Yeah.
and
And
yeah, something like
Harshit,
that will work.
I will still disagree with that, Harshit. Then that's the beauty of this live build. We're talking about this. It's a different strategy. I say absolutely no VH because it actually creates a very difficult to use experience. And I would rather it goes a little bit above or a little bit below my viewport by just applying a rem value or pixel value. The VH on iPhone is very, very difficult to use, even to the point where you may not be able to click on items on the page because things are jumping constantly. If the whole page is VH, it's almost impossible to use. So yeah, the visual aspect of the VH is nice, but it becomes unusable.
Yeah, you could even, well, I don't know. Would that, let's say you put like 20 VH padding on either side of this, hero element or something. Would you run into the same effect there? Like
I'm pretty sure because it adjusts. It adjusts when
yeah,
the viewport
right.
changes.
When it tries
And
to
when
add the little footer, it's like, oh, hey, your
right,
viewport just lost 80 pixels or whatever it is there. Yeah.
Yeah,
right.
yeah. Apple should do something. This
Damn it,
is
They
Apple.
should. They need to do a lot of things.
yeah.
You build these amazing products, but they also suck sometimes.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right,
Safari don't
so
support a lot of nice CSS styles that we can actually use. Uh, yeah.
that's right. Let's see. Let me cancel my Netflix subscription. Maggie's saying too much to watch on this channel. Let's see. Maggie's saying Finsweet week all next week, which brought up Finsweet. Yeah. So next week is Finsweet.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and then people saying the iOS VH thing has bitten me on the bottom a few times. Pete Blanchford. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it can't be perfect everywhere. So, yeah, looking pretty good. How deep are we going to go here? We're pretty close on coming up on 2 hours on our build here, which is kind of what we've tried to stick to for these real-time builds. What do we think we can do here, Harshit? I see you kind of making some modifications to center that image on what looks like the mobile view. What's kind of left here to sort out?
Yeah, I think we already covered good amount of thing, and let us know, guys, if you like going this way, where we are kind of actually showing all the minor details here, each and every styles. And yeah, what do you think about these? Are these really helpful, or should we increase our pace a little bit? We really need your feedback here in this particular case.
Yeah, I think it would be good to do even smaller chunks. Like this was better. I think this was better because we kind of focused on a specific thing. We added some collection lists and we went through the responsive scaling. But let us know in the comments what you think. Would you like to see us focus on just like doing some pixel perfect stuff? Like should we build just a slider element or maybe like a couple tabs element? Or I was telling Harshit about this, I have this card fan on Hover, clonable, that is super popular that people like to clone. Stuff like that I think would be good to share and show. Maybe we come back to a build and we build the nav or the menu next week or something like that. So let us know. What do y'all see? What do you want us to do on these builds as we go? Any thoughts, Joe?
Yeah, well, next week we're going to give you the ability to do that. A little bit of a tease. We won't give too much, but we're releasing something that will let you tell us directly what we should be doing, so that we're making sure that we produce the right content for you as the community, making sure it's the most valuable content. So definitely join us next week for that. And when we drop that, you can start putting in those suggestions.
Nice. Yeah, here's this little, I saw this on the, I think it was a WeTransfer website one time. I was going to make a transfer and I saw this little effect. And this is when I was first learning about Webflow. And I was like, I wonder if I could build that, because I had just started learning about interactions. And I was like, let's see, I wonder if I could build this thing. And it might be cool just to do little components like this, like little things that, just real simple. Little hover effect, a little something out, boom, little in, little out, Awesome. And so I think we could get as complicated or as simple as we want with some of this stuff, but it'd be good to hear from you all what you'd like to see us do. Hang on, I'm trying to get our shit back on the screen here. Boom. Okay, nice. So yeah, let's see. Oh, Joe, did you want to talk about this?
Yeah, that's what it is. This is the feature your site in the Client First Showcase. We are going to release this next week. It's not live for you just yet. It's going to allow you to submit your projects that you have created using Client First. That could be client projects, that could be clonables, that could be fun testing projects. If you use Client First, we want you to submit it. We're going to create a showcase. We're going to have user profiles so that you can show people that you are a Client First user, and you have a whole bunch of different resources available to Client First. You'll have the option to offer clonables in the Client First Showcase, or just showing off work. Hey, check this out. This was built using Client First. So we're going to launch that next week. We're going to have all the final details for you. And this is a great way to get exposure, show off your work, and really build this Client First community. Really excited about this one.
And this is coming. There's one other thing coming. Well, there's a couple things coming next week. There's the attributes. Oh no, we're not launching that next week, are we, Joe? That's not.
No, we're going to show us working.
Just kidding.
We're
going to show
some more updates.
A little bit more about attributes. The other thing we're going to release is a huge, like a roadmap planning, community voting system. So y'all will be able to submit show topics just like you do right now for the growth show, but also submit sites maybe you want to see us build on the show, interactive stuff you may want to see us do, feature requests for the extension, anything you might want to see on like just Webflow feature updates or things that you may want to see happen. We're going to have a whole place where you all can kind of start making recommendations, and then once we approve and say yes, this is something feasible that we could do, we'll let the community vote, and the community will start shaping where we head with our product roadmap, whether that's content, whether that's the product itself. Everything that we do is going to kind of be shaped by the community, so stay tuned for some of that. Okay, Jeremy's saying I like
almost
the
brings us up to 2 hours.
Yeah, I like the in-depth for the more complex looking sites and applying Client First. Yeah, great. It would be good to see. I agree. I think on some of these, it makes sense to go like deep nitty gritty. We haven't talked about interactions with Client First. We haven't talked about, and Client First doesn't really change interactions, but there may be some things you need to think about, some of the refinement of the site. Some of those little nuances like that you come back in at the end and you're like, oh shit, client wants to make the logo bigger. How do you come in and make the little updates as you, fly on the fly? Let's see, and that's how you build a community. Yeah, Penny, that's nice. What we're trying to do here is we're trying to let y'all shape the direction of what we do. We have some ideas because we work in this space and we're working with Webflow all the time. We work with lots of different types of Webflow customers. And so, let's see. Would I have to build from scratch? About to build my first Client First site. Would using one of your Client First templates invalidate receiving a certificate? Would I have to build from scratch? Yeah, to get the certification, you have to start, you can start from the base clonable. So you can start from like the blank starting point, but what you build should not necessarily be built off of one of the templates. I don't think that's the point of the certification, Joe. Any thoughts there?
Yeah, Daniel, these are two different things. You can build any of your sites with Client First. You're not going to be judged or trained based on sites you've done in the past. This is a separate training session. It's supposed to be 5 weeks. You'll join, you'll be given a design, and you'll have to develop that design from scratch. So I do recommend go ahead, clone the templates, clone the wireframes, play around with them, build client sites with it. And then when you get to bootcamp, if you're selected, you are able to build a fresh design from scratch. So no, go ahead, start using the templates. That doesn't invalidate anything with the certification.
Nice. Okay, let's see, mark that as unread. Okay, Harshit, what are your thoughts? 3 builds in the tank, You're like the superstar. You were getting a little bit of love on the fly here. People were saying that Hard Shit was amazing. We agree. That's why Hard Shit's on the team. So to be able to build and do this stuff on the fly. And again, we're not rehearsing. Hard Shit did not rebuild the outline site yesterday, and then today we were like rebuilding the rebuild. No. I suggested, like, I don't know if it was this morning or late yesterday afternoon. I was like, nah, we should do like a news site. Let's do some kind of like modern news site. And so literally this all came together with just a few hours. And so we will get better at this. We will try to kind of plan some of that stuff out. But Hard Shit, tell me what you're thinking. What do you think about the process? What would you like to see different? How are you enjoying the whole live building process?
Yeah, I'm really enjoying it. And now I really want to cover different use cases. When we were making the whole page in a single live stream, we were not really covering smaller things like uh, that that alignment thing for the card. We were actually missing a lot of smaller things. So I really think that we are going to cover smaller parts now as well. And I personally like the way we did it today. But let's see, we are making good progress here, and I really love interacting with the community. So it's a really good thing for me. I really enjoy it.
Nice. Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Let's see. WKD is saying, my dilemma is that I finished a website like 2 days before you released the new version of Client First, and now I don't know if I should rebuild with the new version. I don't think so. If the site's built and the site works, don't worry about it. Use the new on the next one. This is constantly evolving. It would be silly to go back and rebuild all your sites using the new Client First here. Just use it moving forward. All right. Christopher, thanks for the stream today, y'all.
Nice.
Appreciate it as always. Yep, we appreciate you too. And I think that's it. Joe, any closing thoughts here as we wrap up?
That's it for me. This was a good session. I'm excited for next week.
Yeah, and shout out to my boys over at Nest Co-working. I don't know if I can get that here in Playa del Carmen. They hooked us up with a really cool space and made sure we had good internet to stream through Tuesday and today. And that's it. We're wrapping up. Next week, Tuesday, we'll be in Playa, actually, or not Playa, but Merida. So tomorrow we'll be traveling, and our next live stream will be kind of like an interactive stream with a bunch of people from the Finsweet team. So be sure to tune in for that, and we'll catch you then. All right, everybody. Talk soon. Bye.